Rashard Brooks,
Stephen Clark,
Freddie Gray,
Eric Gardner,
Tanisha Fonville,
Daniel Pruitt,
Tamir Rice,
Sandra Bland,
Breonna Taylor,
Tanisha Anderson,
George Floyd. These were all Black lives that were taken due to police brutality. Hi, I'm Mimi and Willow.
And I'm Willow Patton, and we are reporting from Blueprint News Network. African Americans have struggled throughout history from being enslaved, segregated without the right to vote, and continuously being oppressed.
This issue sparked up the current Black Lives Matter movement in 2013 after 17-year-old African American male Trayvon Martin was fatally shot in Sanford, Florida by George Zimmerman. Martin was walking home with his hoodie up and on the phone with his girlfriend after purchasing Skittles and iced tea at 7-Eleven, when Zimmerman, from his SUV, called the police to report a suspicious guy. After being told not to approach Martin, Zimmerman starts to go after him. After noticing that he was being followed, Martin began to run. Zimmerman shot unarmed teenager Trayvon Martin in the chest, who was less than 100 yards away from his home. Zimmerman later claimed that he shot Martin due to self-defense and was later released with no charges on file.
The Black Lives Matter Foundation is a global organization whose mission is to eradicate white supremacy and build local power to intervene in violence inflicted on Black communities by the state of vigilantes. This movement continues to fight for today's police brutality and justice and to affirm all Black lives.
Black Lives Matter is a very big controversial topic. There are some that think BLM belittles other races and some that stand for it because of all injustices of Black lives that have been taken. Senior Madison Weeds explains her past uncomfortability when it came to sharing her opinion.
Honestly, I used to, because I felt I didn't really know enough about the movement or topic, but I feel like now I'm so much more educated on topics concerning injustice and inequality, just through social media and classes. I feel a lot more confident enough to share my opinion and to change someone's thinking or language just by sharing facts that the general public might not be aware of.
Weeze continues to explain her current comfortability on the matter and where she feels comfortable sharing it.
I used to feel that my voice was insignificant and that no one really cared about what I thought. But I have now used outlets like my multicultural studies class to talk about my feelings in a safe place. But I am an ally, and I've made that a known fact about myself without really caring what people want to label me with, whether it be liberal or whatever it is. It's not really a political issue.
It may be hard for some people to support subject matters that don't impact them on a daily basis. For example, supporting this movement may be hard for those who are not Black and don't deal with the constant fear and oppression in modern-day society. Senior Brianna Yates discusses what opened her eyes to support the BLM movement.
What opened my eyes to support Black Lives Matter was literally just seeing what was going on around me. When I first heard about it and looked up what the organization fights for, I agreed with everything on the list, so I knew I had to support it.
Some choose to educate themselves through movies, and some just ask questions. Yates goes more into depth about what she has done to show her support and how she continues to educate herself on the matter.
I've signed as many petitions as I could and donated to a few different causes and spread awareness through social media and just tried to educate myself and others. And what I've learned, I guess, isn't directly about the movement, but more about the effect that the movement has had on America as a whole. So I've learned how influential the media is. People have been getting so much false information about Black Lives Matter, and people like Trump, who have so much power obviously because he's the president, how much his opinion and his words influence people's opinions and actions, and even if what he's saying is wrong, these people will still listen to him and hate on this movement, even though it's just trying to move America towards equality.
On Tuesday, June 2nd of this year, a trend was made throughout Instagram called Blackout Tuesday, where you would post a picture of a black square and caption it Blackout Tuesday.
All day, your feed would be covered in black squares. Some believe that this trend was powerful in the way that it communicated their share and support, and others believe that it was just another unhelpful hashtag. Weeze talks about her opinion on posting the black square.
I did post one, and I thought that in the moment it showed my support. But looking back on it, I saw a lot of people just did it to follow everyone else and make themselves look better. So I felt it kind of lost the importance and the meaning, the message behind it.
Senior Amari Taylor discusses her opinions on this trend being seen as just a hashtag to some.
It's crazy how Black people dying at the hands of police only being a hashtag. It just shows people's ignorance. It shows how much they care for the Black community. But I'm not really surprised because a lot of what Black people do is seen as a trend. For example, like dark skins, we were fetishized in 2020 after all the previous hate we got from being what society deemed as ugly. So I'm not really surprised because the Black culture, the Black culture has been appropriated. So I'm really not surprised about it only being a hashtag to some people.
We continue to talk to Taylor as she argues her opinions towards those who do not support the movement and how she continues to use her voice.
Okay. So I guess I'll address both. I guess people who literally choose to live under a rock, I would say, why do you want to be on the wrong side of history when it's repeating itself? Or with the injustice being recorded and resources and testimonies being easily accessible, why still try to deny the wrong in the world? Back in the day, you really could only hear by word. It wasn't being widely recorded. I've made countless of poems about the Black community and Black problems, and I really do not mind reciting each one to any ignorant person. But during the summer, I did speak kind of on a radio show from the Downers Grove protest on 107.5, saying what Black Lives Matter meant to me. But I had also posted a poem about everything that's going on in the world and dealing with Black struggles and all that other stuff. So I use my voice through spoken word, and that's honestly my favorite way to use my voice.
Kenneth White, a school intervention specialist, mentor, engagement, and emoji sponsor, goes into talking about what he has done, how to educate others, and how he feels about sharing his opinion as a higher authority.
In Chicago, it wasn't a protest. It was more during the summer. It was more like a drive parade. It was actually called the Black and Brown or something like that. It was when a lot of racial tension was going on between the Hispanic community and the Black community. And basically, different neighborhoods all over Chicago came together to basically ride through the whole entire city and just basically put on a car parade protest of basically Our Lives Matter. I can't remember his name. There's a Hispanic alderman in Chicago. He put together the protest and just had a lot of things that he wanted to change with the Chicago Police Department, and he needed help backing that up. So that was the one protest that I did attend. Ways to educate others on Black Lives Matter. I think as a Black individual, I think sharing your experience with them. I think also pointing them to the right resources of just other people who have shared their experience on different platforms such as articles, podcasts, documentaries, and stuff like that are actually factual as far as how some Black individuals are treated far and wide in this country as far as education, mass incarceration, just pointing them to Black people, different Black people's experience. As a higher authority, I look for my opinion, especially that Black Lives Matter is kind of being broadcast more in the media, etc. I think they look to hear your take, your experience, your opinion. So, as me speaking for a Black person and sometimes the Black race in general, I think they want to hear your opinion about certain things to make sure they are being inclusive, make sure they are learning. So yes, I do feel comfortable sharing my opinion.
So you might ask yourself, how can you become an ally and support the mission of eradicating white supremacy and violence against the Black community? Take these 4 steps. Educate, understand, and enroll. Your first step is to educate yourself. Read about what the movement is trying to achieve. Look at statistics and stories of those whose lives were taken by armed police officers and civilian vigilantes. Watch documentaries and movies like The 13th, Stay Woke, I Am Not Your Negro, When They See Us, Rest in Power. These all can help you begin to understand the experience of an African American in modern day society. Even after having watched all these, you can continue to ask questions and seek to understand the Black experience in America.
As you continue to educate yourself on this topic, you can begin to understand both sides of the argument, the struggles of Black lives in America and the continuation of the argument of white privilege. You can show your support for the movement by doing little things such as signing petitions, reposting powerful and helpful posts to educate more, going to protests, standing up for what you believe to be right, and supporting local Black-owned businesses. Lastly, enrolling others, making sure to spread the word to others is ideal when it comes to making a change. Having those tough conversations with your family and friends can help them become more aware of what they do and add more allies to this movement.
This movement, like any other movement whose goal is trying to make change to an ongoing issue, cannot be done alone. It is up to people like you to help be the voice for those whose voices are not being heard.